Welcome. My name is Nate Blair, and this is a fifth iteration on a Skyrim level that I am creating this in the Skyrim Creation Kit. Um, just as a recap of where we are in this series, last episode we were looking at enemy placement, and I loaded in my Skyrim character that is proficient in stealth and bows, and we looked at the different types of ways that players can approach the combat encounters in the dungeon. This episode, we will be focusing on the feedback that we got from playtest sessions on the last iteration, which was mostly focused around the hallways, and that the level felt very much like room connected by a kind of boring hallway into another room, very linear, didn't follow any architectural guidelines. So I have enabled God mode just to speed things up. This may be a shorter video than ones previously, but really focused just on making sure that the areas in between rooms, like eliminating all the boring connections between the interesting parts of the dungeons, and spending some time making a meaningful play areas uh, for players in between the different rooms. So here we go, banquet hall. This is the first hallway that banquet room. Here's the first hallway that's changed. Uh, One thing that I really focused on was for the different hallways, trying to use different kits, and then also adding on rubble and blockages for if this is a ruins area. What are some natural progressions that might have happened over time that have that the player would feel are believable, but they don't mean I have to design an entire labyrinth of hallways. So as we enter this hallway, I've used the big rooms to open with the big room hallway, and then there's a few choices for the player. This one is a dead end, but focused on using more than just a few of the hallway pieces. So there's a little bit of reward for hitting that dead end. That gets the player exploring, so it doesn't just feel this is an area in and of itself, not just a connection area to another room. We're adding rubble, some uh, interesting static elements that like this altar that might have been here, um, some vines on the walls, trying to just break up the monotony, making sure rocks protruding in interesting ways. Then we get to the fake tomb for the king here. Um, just quickly defeat these enemies. The second hallway to change was this one connecting to the Jarl's wife's tomb. I thought about if I wanted to expand on this hallway, have some interesting connections, and instead I decided let's just shrink it. It's a long, useless hallway. Let's just get right to the good stuff and from room to room. Kind of, this is already breaking up the monotony of the kit we're using previously enough. So why even bother with the hallway? Another piece of feedback that I was given was that this pull chain should be a one-time pull use, and that it should make a sound when the player pulls it. So there is a script attached to this pull chain which has properties for enabling both of those. But unfortunately, when I'm in the creation kit, there's no documentation that I can find explaining. I enabled the properties I thought that should make this a one-time use and a enable a sound on pull. But when I play tested it, that has not been the case. So the documentation for custom scripting is a little bit sparse. If anybody knows how to do that, feel free to leave that in the comments. That's one of my frustrations with the Skyrim creation kit has been that there seems like a lot of functionality that it will allow you to use, but that it's not always documented. You kind of have to uh, pair what they have with maybe looking around in some of the dungeons that are in the game, just kind of figure it out on your own. So the third major hallway to change is this long, boring hallway that we had before. So again, trying to break up the monotony, uh, planning on adding some enemies in here, but we've began adding traps. So here's the first one. It springs the gate that swings and this could kill the player. So if somebody's not paying attention, they run through, you hit the trap, and it hits you pretty hard. But if you're going slowly, if you just step on it, it doesn't swing all the way around. So it's really disincentivizing the player that just wants to sprint through the dungeon and not paying very much attention. Um, and then the second trap here, we've got some portcullises. So again, the trigger, a little bit of a delay. So tested a few different ways. That's if you're just walking, then it'll get you. Again, God mode is on, so we're not suffering any damage. But if we disable and we try and run through, it still gets you. So really have to be paying attention. There is, if you enable it and you don't disable it, you can carefully progress through that, and it will not do damage if you try and hit in between the gaps. So here we have a second type of kit. This is the small catacombs kit. And this is, I originally wanted a labyrinth, so just like a small few side areas for the player to explore. Not super clear which direction they need to go right off the bat. So they just, it's not a very difficult labyrinth, but just trying to keep the player, give us a little bit of a space to explore. Maybe add a few enemies in to break it up. And then we enter the final encounter room, and we have the guys that pop out, archers on the top, and we're just going to skip this for now. Nothing has changed in this room. Let's see if they follow me. That's okay. The final major change is the treasure room has shrunk significantly, and then it's really focused on the one chest here. A couple of sconces have been added so that there'll be light that just naturally draws the player to this chest and the epic loot that they've earned. And then we can cycle back through to the beginning of the dungeon. So not too many massive changes, really just focused on what players responded to the most, which was they very much felt like the dungeon had some interesting rooms, but that um, the hallways just kind of made it feel not like a real place that people would inhabit. So yeah, trying to just vary up the different kits that we've used. Kind of add some loop backs, kind of give some side passages that aren't fully fleshed out that are explorable and make the place feel bigger and more expansive. Really base this off of some of the tips that I saw in the other professionally done dungeons as well. So yeah, please leave any comments that you have on how the dungeon is progressing. There's gonna be one more iteration, trying to get as much detail as we can in before we're done with this, at least for the class project. May continue on after that. We're gonna focus on the final touches. Really, I'm aiming for core gameplay, so probably adding in some lights. But we'll see if we get to clutter. Trying to tweak enemies, get the last few enemies we need for this to be an engaging dungeon. If there's anything that you feel should be really strongly should feel really feel very strongly should be in the dungeon, leave it in the comments and I'll take a look. Thank you for watching, and that's it for this video.